Hey guys, I'm coming with a Fluffal deck profile. Now, I haven't played this deck much, and I haven't showed this deck on my personal channel lately for personal reasons. I'm still tweaking the deck here and there. I am still trying to make it where it's competitive as possible, and it can work in this personal format. There are some things that you might question. There's some things in this deck that you probably guys might not understand, which is understandable. I do not have side decks for a lot of certain rogue decks that I have, due to the fact of what they cannot do in the Pacific format right now. I will be trying to work with this deck a lot more, and I will try to update this deck as I go along. This is another deck I'm personally working on. I am working on many other decks. Like I said in my previous videos, I am still working on my Lightsworn deck. I am probably going to run a Lightsworn zombie deck. It's really consistent as it is. I'm going to try to make a Mechanite, pure Mechanite deck profile. It's just going to be a while before I can get my chance to make that. Also, I'm still trying to tweak out and trying to run a Chaos Dragon deck. I'm still trying to tweak it here and there, trying to make it where it's more consistent and it runs the certain Chaos cards you haven't seen for a while. Well, overall, yeah, let's go ahead and get started into this deck. This deck is just pretty fun. It's like, this deck is not competitive. I would recommend to take it to your, like, qualifier games or YCS and things of that nature. I wouldn't really take this to any of those events because you might not be able to do well with this deck. But you could take it to your locals or any local card shop and probably play along and see how well it works. In my personal opinion, I would probably run a certain amount of cards in here just to help you out, like more hand traps or more side deck. Probably make a side deck for this deck. Maybe run a few other cards as well. Overall, so let's just go ahead and get started. Fluffal deck, or aka the Fryfer deck, crazy deck in my personal opinion. You play the triple dog as the main deck. Dog is pretty standard. Dog is pretty much consistent. Fluffal Dog basically allows you to get all the necessary resources to your hand. Then it's just the only card that I play 3 of as a Fluffal card. It's really standard, in my personal opinion. You want to see this as possible so you can combo off real fast. For my 2 ofs, I run 2 Bear, 2 Wings, and then 2 Penguin. In my personal opinion, there's been times where you want to run triple bear or triple wings. I've seen people do that. I run 2 of each because sometimes I want to see them, sometimes I don't want to see them. I mainly want to see Toy Vendor and Dog a lot more than anything because they basically start out your combos. Fluffal Penguin's pretty good. It's basically your draw power of the deck. Fluffal Wings is amazing when Toy Vendor's on the field because you can both banish it as well as another Fluffal and pop both Toy Vendors so you can get more draw or get more you get more draws. Fluffal Bear helps you search out Toy Vendor. There's been times where I use Fluffal Bear to help me get polymerization from my graveyard to get back in to my hand. And then Penguin also has another secondary effect that allows you to get an additional normal summon, so sometimes that can come in handy depending on the decks that you're going against. But these are all the 2 ofs I play, and these are all standard 2 ofs, in my personal opinion. Like, I wouldn't run more than 1, or I mean more than 2, but these are how I think they should be run, and I think they run pretty well. For the 1-ups, I do play the 1 Fluffal Owl. She's standard. He's broken. And then the 1 Fluffal Cat. Fluffal Cat's just an amazing card, in my personal opinion. It basically allows you to recycle poly as much as possible. Because in this deck, you do go through poly a lot faster than anything. So Fluffal Cat basically helps you recycle polymerization. And then Fluffal Owl is a polymerization as itself. You pay 500 life points, you can fuse it, as well as other cards from your field in hand to fusion summon. It's pretty good. I love its effect. And basically, it's another Fluffal monster just to go up combos. That's it for those. For the EGM monsters, I do play a little different than most builds. I play, like in most builds, they always play triple EGM chain. EGM chain is basically your combo piece. It's basically your standard off. It basically allows you to go off a lot faster. It's pretty good. It allows you, if you use it as a fusion summon, because that's mainly the only thing you mainly pay attention for that effect. If you use it as a fusion summon, or if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, or if this card is sent to the graveyard period, You basically get a Fryfer spell card from your deck to your hand, so like Fryfer Patchwork, Fryfer Fusion. You get those to your hand as fast as possible. I do not run Fryfer Factory. My personal opinion, I don't think this deck really needs it. If you guys want to, feel free to run Fryfer Patchwork. I would recommend it to you guys. If you guys want to run it, you can. But Edgem Chain is good at 3. And then you got Edgem Sabers. I play 2 Edgem Sabers because sometimes I'll banish it off with Fryfer Fusion, or my opponent try to get rid of this out of the grave as fast as possible. My personal opinion, I would recommend my opponent to get rid of this out my grave, so it kind of screws up my Fryfer Fusion monsters. So I think it's pretty okay. I like to, like I said, my opponent likes to get rid of my cards out of my graveyard, so I think 2 Edgem Sabers is really good and nifty for the deck. This is starting to go to a more fusion-based format, so in my personal opinion, this deck could do very well. It just depends on the matchups and depends on what you're going against. Will also determine on how you can play through the deck. But yeah, I think this is pretty standard in my personal opinion, and I wouldn't recommend running more than what you see there. I do play a spicy little hand trap engine. For instance, I didn't get a chance to switch out from my other decks. So if you guys want to run specific hand traps, I'll give you suggestions on what hand traps you should play for this specific format. If you want to play hand traps to go against your opponent in this format, it just all depends on what you guys want to do and things of that nature. For instance, I do play triple Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is one of the best hand traps in the game. Obviously not in this format due to the effect troll is basically number 1. So if you guys really want to switch out Ashes for draws and other things that you can. I also play 2 Effect Fillers and 2 Ogres. My personal opinion, Ogre is pretty good. It's like the second best hand trap in my personal opinion. If you guys want to switch these out for other hand traps, I would probably do so if you want to be as competitive. But in my personal opinion, I think Effect Filler and Ogre is pretty good against certain decks and against certain matchups. It just all depends on your opponents, and also depends on you, depending on what you hit. Ash is good against a lot of decks, so most often I want to see it as fast as possible. So yeah, if you guys want to switch out these the hand traps for other decks, you can, or other hand traps. Depending on what you go against in your locals and things of that nature, you should probably switch those out. Yeah, that's it for all the monsters. Let me fix this a little bit. There we go. For the spells, this is a little bit different. It's basically based on consistency as well. Sometimes want to see certain cards, but not all the time. You mainly want to search out the cards you want to see. So in my personal opinion, this is a pretty standard lineup for my spells. And I don't run any traps. If you guys are wondering, I don't have a chance to get my hands on hand traps. Traps is personal self. There's been times where I was main decking Infinite Permanence and Evenly Matched, but this deck is just more of a fun deck. It's not mainly a competitive deck. If you guys want to see a competitive deck profile, let me know down in the comments below. If you guys want to see a competitive Fryfer deck, let me know. But overall, it's pretty good of a deck. So for the spell cards, play triple Toy Vendor. Toy Vendor is self-explanatory. Toy Vendor is basically that one card that allows you to get your combo pieces to go off. Those of you that probably don't know, you reveal a card from the top of your deck. If it's a Fluffal monster, you special summon. If it's not, you send it straight to the graveyard. Other effects, basically when it's sent from the field, not a hard once per turn, or once per turn period. When this card is sent from the field, you search out a Fluffal or Edgem Sabers monster from your deck. So this is pretty good. This is the main key piece with Fluffal Wings. Basically, it just gives you more draw power and allows you to get more consistency and allows you to search out stuff you need. And then you play 2 Foolish Burial Goods, which basically helps you send Toy Vendor to the graveyard so you can get that effect. Plus, Foolish Burial Good basically allows you to recycle. You can send Polly to the graveyard, so when you use your Fluffal Cat as a fusion spell card, it basically allows you to recycle that as well. So Foolish Burial Good plays a key piece in this deck. For the other spell cards, you do play, obviously, triple Polymerization. Sorry that this one card is different, but it is considered as Polymerization no matter what. They're all Polymerizations. This is basically the little crazy art. I like both arts. They're pretty cool. But you mainly want to play triple Polymerization because you mainly want to see this at all times in your hand no matter what. Against a lot of certain decks, this is amazing against. It basically allows you just to fusion your Frifer monsters and stuff. That way you can get a presence on the board and get a beat down against your opponent. For the Frifer spell cards, I play double Frifer Patchwork, and then the one Frifer Fusion. My personal opinion, I think this is all really you need. If you want to run triple Patchwork, you could. In my personal opinion, I only run 2 because I have the Edge and Chains effects to search out Frifer Patchwork when I need it. Frifer Fusion is also good. So that's why I like to run it at 1. I'm tempted on boosting it up a little bit more as well because I want to see it a lot sometimes. Because since I run 2 Edgem Sabers, I want to use Frifer Fusion a lot more to help me out go off with a lot more combos. But overall, it's pretty good too. And Frifer Patchwork, those you probably don't know, it allows you to search out both the Edgem, I believe the Edgem monster. Let's see. Yeah, you search out an Edgem monster as well as a polymerization from your deck to your hand, so you can just fusion summon a lot faster. Frifer Fusion is basically fusion summoning from both your field and graveyard by banishing those specific cards just to go combo off. So yeah, I like those in personal opinion. I also play triple Super Poly. Super Poly is pretty good in this deck as well. If you ever go against a mirror match, it's pretty even better. But overall, it has you have so much room in your extra deck just to go with more fusion monsters to kind of screw up and break your opponent's boards. I play triple Super Poly because it helps me break my opponent's board so I can go off for more combos. This is pretty good and pretty standard. Yeah, it's self-explanatory in my personal opinion. I like it at that. Then I play the one Insta Fusion. Now, Insta Fusion you don't really want to see all the time. You do want to see sometimes. Insta Fusion is basically like you fusion summon one of your Frifer. Let's see. You fusion summon. You can Insta Fusion Frifer Sheep and use it for more banish piles or something like that. Or you end up probably doing a. You'll probably Insta Fusion the Mud Dragon so you can go off more combos as well. So Insta Fusion is just handy in certain ways. Then I played 2 Call by the Graves. Now, my other deck profiles, I do run triple Call by the Graves and stuff like that for all my decks. I play 2 Call by the Graves. Sometimes I want to see it, sometimes I don't want to see it. In my personal opinion, when you're going second, it's good against a lot of hand traps and everything. But when you're going first, you don't really want to see it when you try to combo off because it just could brick your hand. So I like to play 2 Call by the Graves. My last video, I did play 2 Call by the Graves because there's another way just to, stay standard and basically last against my opponent and everything. So it just basically is consistency and helps me out. In my personal opinion. Then I play the one Monster Reborn because Monster Reborn's just basically allows you to combo off. For my extra deck, I do play one Frifer Daredevil. Frifer Daredevil is basically your OTK power. Every time it destroys a monster by battle, you basically inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent. I've been tempted on maybe probably side decking this, maybe running another Link. Because, yet again, it's another way to OTK my opponent. I do play Boar Sword as well. It's basically another way also to OTK my opponent. So, Frifer Daredevil does come in handy here and there. I use Frifer Fusion just to banish it so I can combo off. In my personal opinion, I do play as my other big level monster. I play double Frifer Sabertooth. Frifer Sabertooth is another way to basically get a stronger presence on the board. If you use three fusion materials, it basically cannot be destroyed with battle or break card effects. And no matter what they try to destroy it, it can't happen. It's also another monster that basically gains attack as well from its original attack. Or like it gains attack off its effect, as well as gives other Frifer monsters that's currently on the board more attack. It gives it 400 more attack for every Frifer monsters on the board gains 400 attack, so it's pretty good too. And it also allows you to special summon another Frifer monster from your graveyard or fusion monster. So whenever you use your fusion monsters just to fusion summon it, it basically gives you another 2 presence on the board for 1. There's been times where I am missing the third one, and I really love to have the third one. I might end up running a third one in my competitive version of this deck. So, like I said, let me know down in the comments below if you guys want to see a competitive variant. I do play double Frifer Kraken. Fragment Kraken is basically the big booty in the deck. It's basically your defense. Sometimes, if you can't really get a decent board out, you always want to summon this guy. It's a 3,000 defense booty. It's pretty broken. Those of you that probably don't know what it does, it's basically, I believe, whenever it's summoned, you can target one monster your opponent controls, and send it straight to the graveyard. It targets, but it doesn't destroy the monster. So you know how most of the cards in this specific format basically says if this card is destroyed, you get this effect, stuff like that. This just sends it straight to the graveyard, so it's not being destroyed. So it's pretty broken. Also, it's basically another card to attack your opponent. So it attacks twice, and it cannot attack your opponent directly, which is the sad thing, but it's another way. I think that's what it is. I think it cannot attack your opponent directly. It's been a while since I played them. Yeah, this card cannot attack directly the turn. Oh, no. This effect is basically, if you use the first effect, it can attack directly. So if you use your first effect to send a monster off the field to the graveyard, it can't attack directly during that turn. But the other effect is basically, it allows you to attack twice based on the future materials. So it's pretty good as well. In my personal opinion, 2 Krakens is all you really need. There's been times where I don't really go into the second one, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So I like Kraken as a 2. I do play, for my last 2 up, I do play 2 Fluffal Tigers. Fluffal Tiger is pretty good as well. Based on the fusion materials you use to summon it, that's how many cards you get to pop on the field. So say if you use 4 materials, you basically get to pop 4 cards. If you use 5 materials, you basically get to pop 5 cards. So it's pretty good, in my personal opinion, and it allows you just to clear out your opponent's board. Also, it's a 19 beat stick as well. And also, another thing about him is it lets you, all other Frightful monsters are currently on the board gain 300 attack. So if you both have, and the sad thing is you can only control one of him, so if you try to go for a second one, you cannot. That's the sad thing about its effect. But if you have Fluffal Tiger and Fluffal Sabertooth both on the board, and basically it's just another way to OTK your opponent, because all Fluffal monsters will gain 300 as well as 400 attack, so it basically gives your monsters more of a boost. So I like Fluffal Kraken, or Fluffal Tiger as it is. Excuse me guys, I'm getting my monsters confused, I'm sorry for that. Hold up. For my other monsters, I do play 1 Fluffal Wolf. Most people would play 2 or 3 Fluffal Wolves because they want to try to get OTK their opponent as fast as possible. I like Fluffal Wolf as that. Fluffal Wolf, those of you who probably don't know, basically specifically says this. Must be fusion shown with the above fusion materials. It cannot be special by other ways. This card can attack attack a number of times each battle phase up to the number of fusion materials used for its fusion summon. So basically, based on how many times you use, so if you use 4 monsters, you can attack 4 times. It's basically another way. Plus, if you have this Tiger and Sabertooth out on the board, you basically got a big list of monsters just to OTK your opponent. So yeah, like it's pretty good. And I personally only play 1. Those of you that probably want to play 2, I would recommend it if you guys want to go for that way or that route. Sadly, I only have 1 at the time, so if I had a second one, I would definitely play it in my extra deck. So I like Fluffal Wolf as it is. Then obviously, like I said, I do play the Fluffal Sheep. Fluffal Sheep is basically that one card where you can just use away as materials and stuff like that. I don't really use it for its other abilities. Those of you probably wondering, it gains 800 attack every time it's sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card effects and stuff like that. Also, it comes back as well. So every time it's sent to the graveyard, it gains 800 attack. So basically, it just, once it dies as a 28 beat stick monster, and then when it comes back, it gains another 800. So it's just like another way to keep gaining up attack, and it's just another OTK monster. Plus, it's basically another little defense wall, just in case your opponent tries to kill you for game. Yeah. For the Super Poly targets, I do play 3 of Super Poly Fusion monsters. Obviously, you got the Mud Dragon. Like I said, you can also use Special Summon it with Instant Fusion and stuff, so it's pretty good. You got the 1 Starwing Beetle Fusion Dragon. This is pretty much pretty standard. It's pretty broken in my personal opinion. I like it. And then I do have the Predaplant Draco Stepia. I think that's how you pronounce it. This guy's pretty good too. They're basically all super poly targets I use against a lot of certain decks and things of that nature. So this is a rogue deck, but it could be competitive. You guys will want to test it out against, like I said, your locals and other shops like that. See if you can be able to top with it. I don't have a side deck, obviously, for this deck. If I personally had a side deck, this deck will probably be a little bit more competitive. So, like I said, let me know in the comments below if you guys want to see a competitive version of this deck. But these are all your standard, side deck fusion monsters. They basically allow you to combo off, and you mainly want to probably link these away or go off with other combos too once you break your opponent's board. So, yeah, they're all pretty standard. Then I play the one rank 4, which is number 60. This is pretty much standard. It basically you use it for the draw power effect, or you can use it just to basically boost out your opponent's monster attacks and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. For my link 2s, I do play the one generic Cyframe Lamba. I don't play it like Gamma in the main deck. If I did play Gamma, I would pretty much play this card a lot more. But for now, this guy is only used for the generic link summon. That's pretty much it. It's another link 2 I could go into so I could combo off. Like I said from my other previous videos, if I had Cross Sheep, I would play Cross Sheep instead of Cyframe Lama. I would probably much run Cross Sheep as well for this deck. This deck could probably run a lot smoother with Cross Sheep because you basically fusion summon a lot more. And allows you to recycle both your Fluffal monsters as your EGM monsters and things of that nature. So I think Cross Sheep would be really awesome in this deck. If I could get my hands on Cross Sheep, like I said in my previous video, I will do a deck profile, different deck profile from my other decks and stuff like that to show what this deck is capable of. I could probably do a combo video for this deck as well. If you guys would like to see that in the comments below, let me know. But in my personal opinion, I think Lama's good how it is. If I have my capability of getting Cross Sheep, I will play Cross Sheep as well. Then for my last link monster, I do play Boarsword. Boarsword's pretty good. Boarsword is basically that other OTK power as well as a Fright for Daredevil. They're both pretty good monsters to OTK your opponent, so they're self-explanatory in my personal opinion. Yeah, overall, that's it for my Fluffal deck profile. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys want to see a competitive version of this deck. I will be more willing to make a competitive version of this deck. Also, let me know down in the comments below if you guys want to see a side deck as well for this. This deck could use a side deck and could pretty much compete against certain decks, just depending on what the meta is and everything about that. So you guys can let me know down in the comments below what you guys think and what you guys think I should do, or what cards you guys think I should change and things of that nature. So let me know in the comments below. Would you guys like to see a competitive version of this deck? I would be more willing to show that off. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this video. And like always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. And like always, Dragon Rockstar is signing out. Peace.